One of my favorite things about watching movies and series is when there's a big plot twist that changes the story completely. A twist so big that it suddenly gives meaning to all of the weird things happening in the story that you weren't sure up until that point, but now suddenly upon rewatching, you realize it all makes sense. And in that spirit, I remembered a TV show on Netflix that, in my opinion, has one of the most unhinged plot twists ever and an absolute batshit crazy ending to an otherwise very normal premise. It follows Louise, a young woman who begins an affair with her boss and strikes up an unlikely friendship with his wife. It starts off as a sort of rom-com, upbeat, feel-good story, and it evolves into you could never guess. Like, starting the show, you could never guess where it ends. Not even the most intelligent AI supercomputer could have guessed at the end of episode 1 where the show would end. And the series itself isn't that great. Like, the acting is very choppy, the writing is kind of busted, and there's a lot of plot holes and inconsistencies, but it's one of those shows that you can't think about it too much. You just have to let the information flow through you. And I actively try to avoid solving the plot twist because I really do like to get to the end and feel like a dumbass. And Behind Her Eyes delivered just that. It's one of those endings that stays with you. I watched this back when it came out in 2021, and to this day, sometimes I go back to it and I think, wow, that was crazy. So in the interest of making it available to everyone who wants to know what the hell happens but don't really want to watch the entire show, I'm here to save the day. And like I said, it's an ending and a twist that changes the meaning of the entire story. So by the end of the video, once you know the full plot and the full twist, come back here and rewatch the story now with fresher eyes and a new perspective, knowing what lies beneath. And if you already know it going into this, do not spoil it. Please, let's have fun. I'll do the spoiling, you do the enjoying. And to everyone else who wants to find out what happens, let's get into it right after you subscribe down below, because it's free and it helps, and you're gonna look so much cuter after you do it. Obrigado. The show is primarily set in London present time, although we do see some flashbacks to the past that will be important for the story. But in present time, our main character is Louise. She is a young woman who has a son, a 7-year-old son called Adam, but she's divorced. And her ex-husband is now dating a woman who is expecting. And she hasn't really moved on from her ex, and she doesn't really date or have many friends. But one night, she gets her neighbor to watch after her son, and she meets a friend in town, except her friend cancels on her, leaving her high and dry at a bar with a drink and no one to talk to. So on her way out, she bumps into this beautiful man, but spills her drink all over him. So as an apology, buys him a drink. She tries leaving. He asks her to stay. He's enjoying her company. They have instant chemistry, an instant connection. And then by the end of the date outside, he very intensely and very slowly gives her a passionate smooch before pulling away and saying, "Sorry, I can't do this. I have to go." And Louise is left with blue balls. Dang it. The day after, Louise goes to work. She works part-time in a psychiatrist's office. She's the receptionist. And that's where she finds out that her new boss, the new shrink, is the guy from last night, David. Yes. And he's in the office visiting with his wife, Adele. She spots them without them seeing her, and then she hides in the bathroom for the rest of the day. So David is married. The dreamy guy that she met the night before is married. But not only is he married, he's her new boss. Fuck, right? So what does Louise do the day after? She puts on some high heels and a beautiful, gorgeous outfit to look her best. Louise is really thirsty. Like this girl. Even her son is like, "Why are you wearing those heels, Mom? Huh? Why you dressed so nice for work?" Reminds me of this Portuguese girl who once said, "I find it funny how women don't want to date men who live with their moms, but have no problem dating men who live with their wives." Yes, because Louise is ready to jump into that married bed. And it's all very rom-com-y, you know? She spills a bit of sauce on her shirt, then she panics because she's gonna look a mess, and then she does look a mess when she meets him, but she assures him, "Hey, let's just pretend that last night didn't happen and we can start fresh. I won't say anything. I really need this job." And he's like, "Okay. Sure, Louise." And they're eye-fucking each other, you know? Like, they wanna do it all over that desk, but they can't because he's married. She also clarifies that she is divorced, making him feel even worse for the big shit that he is. But overall, they leave it very cordial. And then we meet Adele, David's wife, who has a bob. Never trust a British woman with a bob. It's a trap. Always a trap. From the bits and pieces that we see, their relationship is very tense. They're not particularly happy, as you would call it. There's trouble in the home. That's why he cheated on her. He's done nothing wrong. He's just a saint. You will not see me defend a man on this video, or will you? Weirder things have happened. And Adele seems to be heavily medicated and heavily reliant on David, so much so that he gives her back her phone. Like after they have dinner with friends, he gives her back a phone. Okay. So he seems to be controlling her or in charge of everything that she has access to. And these two fuckers have money, like the garden in London in a nice area of town, that size. And the series found a really nice way to get Louise's son out of the picture for the whole plot. And it's her ex is going to the south of France with his new fiance, and he wants to take his son for the summer. So the kid is out of the picture for the whole plot. Yay. And after dropping off her son, guess who she bumps into? Adele. Miss Bob. Just bobbing around. Bob Dell herself. And for some goddamn reason, she introduces herself straight away as, oh, I work with your husband. I saw your picture on his desk. Why would you reveal who you are? Just bump into her, apologize, and move the fuck on. This is such a non-London thing to do. I would never. Insane behavior. And what does Adele do? Adele invites her for a coffee. Yes. And in flashbacks of the past, we find out that Adele was actually at a rehabilitation facility 10 years prior up in Scotland. Okay. Okay. So far, the show has thrown at you a bunch of information. David and Adele are married, but they're not necessarily happy. Adele is medicated and mysterious, but is she a victim or is she pretending? And Louise is just really fucking horny for David. Like, she wants to eat that man alive, and she will. So episode 2, we find out that Adele has no friends and no job, but she comes from money, like a lot of money, like millionaire type of money. I mean, how else is she going to get a garden like that in London, in the expensive part of town? Do you know how much a one-bedroom flat costs in the area they're living in? A one-bedroom. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I hate it here. And after hearing about how sad and lonely Adele is, really, Louise agrees to swap numbers with her. Okay, so Louise is a dumbass. Louise, if I could tell you anything, it would be don't trust a woman with a bob, especially if she's English.
I look like a pencil.
Any English women out there with bobs, we love you, we see you, we support you. But today, you have to be the villain, sorry. Things between David and Adele really aren't good, and she frantically paints the wall of their bedroom, and it looks like woods. And when David gets home, he's like, what is wrong with you? How could you do this? And then in a flashback, we see a well in the woods, a deep, dark well. And deep, dark down at the bottom of the deep, dark well is a watch, a wristwatch. Ooh. David, you naughty boy. Adele then ends up pestering Louise so much that they meet up for the day. And Adele shows up at her house and scans her place very carefully from top to bottom. Do you want to see my dog jump into his bed? Come on. Good boy. They spend the afternoon together, and we find out that David actually saved Adele's life like a decade prior. There was a fire in her estate. They have money. And her parents were in a different wing of the estate than her, and the fire got to them first. And David actually ran into the burning building and pulled Adele out safe and sound. And then she reiterates that no matter what happens, she loves David. And this already starts sowing seeds of doubt. Like, okay, David just showed up in the middle of the night. He just happened to be there the night that the fire broke out, and he saved you, and now you guys are married, and he has control over her entire fortune. A lot of theories running through Louise's head. Probably one of them should be, wait, did David set fire to her parents and then married their daughter and stole all of her money and is now controlling her entire fortune? Because that would be really bad. And, you know, that is the first place that the mind goes to, because it has to be, right? I mean, he's so controlling. He's always checking up on her. He decides whether she has a phone or not. He decides her medication. He's a shrink. He's a psychiatrist. He can prescribe her meds, like the good shit. Marry yourself a shrink if you always want to have a good time. We also find out that Louise has night terrors, and Adele has the perfect solution. She hands her a notebook of hers, a diary of when she was younger, that has like the guidelines and tips and tricks to control your own dreams, become a master of what you dream. I shit you not. Oh, we're going there. And then that night, David swings by to apologize for being an asshat, and one thing leads to another, and he and Louise fuck hard. In the flashbacks to Scotland, we meet Rob, this guy that Adele met back in the rehabilitation facility. He is a Scottish man addicted to heroin and big, fat, throbbing cocks.
I prefer cock, by the way. Big, fat, throbbing cocks.
He's very disillusioned with life. He's a cynic and he hates everything and anything, but he does strike a very strong friendship with Adele. And this is when Adele and David were engaged to be married. I think he was still in university and she was like 18, 19. Yeah. Their marriage is not happy, and Adele keeps planting like these little driblets of information to Louise that make her feel like David might be a controlling asshole. But then Louise goes home and speaks to David, and he gives her some pillow talk, and she opens her legs. And suddenly she is opening her legs for David and opening her arms for Adele. But all of these good vibes and feelings allow Louise to finally learn to control her dreams. And guess what? She loves the color yellow. Look at this. Ooh, it's yellow everywhere. It's like pissing in my dreams and everything is yellow. And around this point, Adele decides to go to this council estate looking for drugs, but instead finds someone's hands.
Fuck off!
Gets hit in the face and a black eye as a reward, and then tells David that she opened a cupboard and hit herself with the door. And back in Scotland, back 10 years ago, Adele and Rob smoke weed together, and much like Louise in present time was struggling to control her dreams, Rob was also struggling to control his dreams, but then he eventually learns to control them as well, and this is his dream. The English countryside. You know, to each their own, I guess. Yeah. It's valid. You know, that waiter is naked because Rob is gay. Oh, and Adele has signed her fortune over to David because she needs his help. Rob is not happy about that. He says that she should have waited. And she says, well, I'm going to marry him anyway, and I need his help now. And there's a patient that David has, Anthony, who has lashed out a couple times so far. And he shows up at David's only to find Adele with a black eye. And he remembers seeing David and Louise exit the office and kissing outside. So he realizes David is cheating on Adele, and now Adele has a black eye. He takes an interest. And she is vague enough to let him think that David may have something to do with her black eye. Then she meets up with Louise and tells her the same excuse that she gave David, that she hit herself opening a cupboard, which, girl, come on. Be more creative than that. Louise isn't entirely convinced by the excuse of the black eye, but then the day after, there's an investigation because Anthony, the patient, claims that he saw David strike his wife in the face. Louise ends up overhearing a conversation on the phone, Adele saying that it was an accident, it's all her fault, it's her clumsiness. And then she reads in the diary that Adele gave her that Rob was also not a big fan of David and swore to protect Adele from him. Okay. And then David shows up at Louise's house and tells her that she is the only good thing that he has in his life and that he is falling in love with her. And Adele is spying on them while she's at home. We see this overhead POV, and Adele is home sleeping or seemingly sleeping, but she's also spying on them. Adele's not happy that her husband is in love with her best friend, so she extends the membership that she created for Louise and asks them to call her about the details after 6 p.m. So when they call her house and David answers about extending the gym membership of Louise blah 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 at the request of Adele blah blah blah, he realizes that his wife and his mistress are like besties. They like hang out and shit. They go to the gym together. Holy hell. What the fuck? He goes over to Louise's house, who is already not entirely pleased about all the details that she's been learning about David and Adele's relationship and past. So when he confronts her and is very aggressive about her having basically lied about being friends with his wife, she's like, well, you've been lying too. And actually, I don't think Adele has done anything wrong. And the more I hear about all this, the more suspicious I get. And then she says, you have all her money. Ooh. Bad move. Never talk to English people about money. He fires her and tells her to stay away from him and his wife and leaves. And I can't believe I'm going to say this because I don't think I've ever said it before and don't expect to hear this from me again, aside from today's video. But listen to that man. Do what that man is telling you to do. Never thought I'd say this, but yeah, no, listen to that man. Stay away from him and his wife. That's it. That's the tweet. So Louise quits her job because she really has no choice, but then meets up with Adele at her place, and she finds her sort of unconscious, and then Adele jolts back to life very dramatically. Louise tells her that she's been fired because David found out that they're friends, and she's about to tell her that she's been having an affair when she realizes that Adele seems high. Well, you see, Adele just did heroin before Louise got there. So, wee, she is high as tits. She then says David has all the control over her because he has a file on her that makes her sound crazy. And he's medicating her beyond belief. And it all started after Brighton, after he had an affair with a woman. We go deeper into Rob and Adele's friendship, and it's clear that Adele is excited to leave rehab because she has David at home and she has all of this money and a future to look forward to, whereas Rob does not want to go back. His sister is a his whole family is gone, and he's just going to go back to a life of shooting up heroin and feeling like a sorry excuse, a waste of oxygen. In fact, he's never been as happy as he has been in this facility with Adele specifically. This is his safe space. It's the only place that he feels like he has anything to live for. So sometime later, after they've both been released, he visits her at her estate. And then the episode ends showing us that in that deep, dark well in the woods, the deep dark bottom of the well, other than the watch, is Rob. Rob's body. He's dead. He's in the well, dead. He's gone. Someone killed him. Oh, another mystery. So now there's like a few mysteries, like who's crazy here, right? Is it Adele or is it David? Who's dangerous, right? And who the fuck killed Rob? Much to consider. Louise and David are broken up. Louise's son Adam returns from his holiday in France, giving her a welcome distraction. Adele is now shooting up heroin between her toes because that's, you know, where they can't find the spot. And honestly, this could have been a happy ending. Louise, just stay away from them. But no, Louise ends up having a falling out with the only friend that she has because her only friend keeps giving her good advice and Louise keeps ignoring it. Tragic, really. And for some fucking reason, she doesn't do what that man told her to do. And normally I would say, yes, queen, you go independent. Yes, all the women. But now I'm like, you stupid character. Stupid. She decides to break into the office to steal Adele's file so she can give it to Adele. You know, the file that he has on her proving that she's crazy. She's thinking, okay, I'm going to break into the office that has cameras. I'm going to give it to his wife and that's it. So she does. She breaks into the office, gives the file to Adele, and Adele's like, oh God, now you're also wondering about me, right? Now you read the file, you also think I'm crazy? Louise is like, no, I believe you. Even with that accent, I believe you. Okay, stupid. Adele then confesses that she hasn't seen Rob since that visit that I spoke about like a couple minutes ago. In fact, she says that David refuses to sell the estate and he refuses to ever go back there. And now she fears that David may have killed Rob. And if you remember, the last episode ended with Rob's body in the well. Yes. And I know they're making it very obvious, so obviously the obvious answer isn't going to be the answer, but still, it's fun to go through the motions. Louise then keeps reading the diary as like an investigation of sorts, right? And she's had this diary for months. Look at the size of that thing. How the fuck has she still not finished it? There's like 3 sentences per page because he doesn't necessarily write it like it's a fucking novel. They want us to believe that she's just been reading like 5 words per month this whole time. And then from her dream, Louise is able to exit her body and float around in her living room, which gives her a right scare. David then shows up in the middle of the night asking for the file back, and Louise has no choice but to give it to him. And then he gets home and Adele is just preparing dinner. David says it's like she always knows when he's about to get home. And I could tell him that it's probably the Find My iPhone feature that he hasn't disabled, but it's not. He then finally asks for a divorce and she says, do not say things that you cannot take back, because once you say them, you can't take them back. And then we find out through flashbacks that what Louise did by accident was astral projection. So astral projection, Adele learned how to do it when she was younger, and she just kept doing it and doing it. And she says that it's like a muscle. The more you do it, the further from your body you can travel. And that's exactly what she was doing the night her parents died in that fire. She was traveling so far She was miles away from her body. And the thing about astral projection, if you didn't know, this is very scientifically accurate, is that you have to return to your body. You can't just, imagine yourself somewhere else and suddenly your soul is there. Your soul has to exit. And it's usually this flying, colorful orb that you can only see if you're also an orb. But if you're not an orb, then you can't see it. It's like invisible. And it's like everyone has their different colors. Like there's a purple one and there's a blue one, and you can just travel to wherever. The only rule I think is established in the novel, not the only rule, but there's a couple of rules established. But basically, you can only go to places that you can visualize. So places that you've already been to. But you can exit your body and just travel the world. Well, yes, we just went from a dramatic rom-com, upbeat, feel-good sort of thing to we're astral projecting. What is this, Marvel Cinematic Universe? Where is Doctor Strange gonna pop out of nowhere? Ooh. Present time, Louise is still investigating. She's still suspicious. Something is not adding up. So she calls Rob's sister, and she hasn't seen him in 10 years. In fact, the last time she saw him was before he departed to go visit Adele and David. Ooh. Okay. And then later that night, Louise accidentally astral projects herself further. She goes into her neighbor's house. Creepy. But she wakes up in the same manner that Adele woke up when she thought that Adele was passed out and then she just dramatically came back to life. She does the same thing. And her son was freaking out trying to wake her up like, fuck, mom, are you dead? You playing with me or what? Stupid. She even goes to her neighbor's house to have a quick look inside to see if she was actually there, if she was just dreaming of being there. But no, every detail, like to a T, matches, and she remembers being there. She remembers the entire dream. Fuck. She was just floating around like a ghost. She then thinks back to Adele saying that you can go anywhere as long as you've been there so you can visualize it. And she slowly realizes, wait a fucking minute. Adele's been watching me this entire fucking time. Sorry, that was uncalled for. And that brings us to the series finale. How fucking quick was that? Yes! Well, the series finale. There's a lot that happens. Louise goes to Brighton to investigate this woman that David supposedly had an affair with, and it turns out it wasn't an affair at all. It was this woman that worked at a cafe who took a liking to him. Not even a liking, but took pity on him. And she just gave him like very basic, normal advice that you give people, but she wasn't even interested in him because he was too young for her. She was genuinely just helping a patron who was a regular at her cafe. And then that night, his wife shows up at her house and says, I know what you talk about. Leave my husband alone.
I know what you say to him. I know.
Okay. But then David shows up the day after talking to her as if nothing happened, like as if Adele doesn't know. So she's like, wait a minute, how does Adele know what we talked about if David didn't tell her? So she just flat out told him, dude, if you're unhappy, leave her. And you know what Adele did? Adele broke into her house and wrote slut on the wall with red paint and then threatened her. But not one of those like, I'm gonna kill you threats, more like, oh, living alone must be scary. Such a shame if something happened to you, no one would be here to feed your cat. What would happen to the cat? Who would feed the cat? Basically, Adele just knew what they talked about, even though David never told her. After the attack, she called David, and David convinced her not to press charges, and they moved away instead so they could leave this blessed lady alone. And Louise now has a better understanding of what Adele has been doing. Adele has been astral projecting herself, spying on her husband. And if scaring this woman didn't work, instead she decided to befriend Louise. Try a different approach. You know, if you can't beat him, join him. So Louise goes back to London and she speaks to David and she tells him, your wife's a nutter. You need to get away from her. And when scaring her off didn't work, she decided to befriend me instead. She's absolutely nuts. And David finally tells her what happened all those years ago. So David had been gone for the whole day. And when he came back, Adele was crying in a panic and reveals that she did heroin with Rob and then Rob did too much. And Adele's not even sure if it was on accident or on purpose. It may have been a suicide, but he OD'd and she panicked and dumped his body down the well, the deep, dark bottom of the well in the woods. David's watch accidentally fell in. Oh no. Oops. And at this point, David was already a suspect because of the fire that killed Adele's parents. It was very suspicious that he got there just in time to get her out, and then her parents died. And then she went to a rehab facility, married him, and he gained control of all of her assets. She almost like threatened him without threatening him. It was like, no one knows he's here. We don't say anything and we just move on. And David now feels like if he divorces her or leaves her, she will go to the police and they will find the body and his watch right next to him, and he will go to prison. But this conversation with Louise has rejuvenated him, filled him with new life, and he decides, no, I'm going to turn myself in. This is it. Thank you, Louise. I love you. Stay away from her and all of this, please. And I can't believe I'm going to say this again. Listen to that man and do what that man is telling you to do. Please. And then in the flashbacks, we actually see that Rob took a liking to David. In fact, Rob started liking David very much. As I was watching, I thought Rob wants David. Maybe David slept with Rob and then Adele found out and then killed Rob or something. You know what I mean? Like, there's got to be some sort of a triangle love shit happening. So that was where my brain was at. But don't stress yours too much. Let's get into it. Louise is home smoking to try and calm down when Adele calls. And she tells Louise that she wanted them to be friends. She wanted their friendship to be stronger than Louise's affair with David, which ended up not happening. And then Louise tells her that David's gone up to the police and he's going to turn himself in. And if Adele loves him or wants him safe, then she will tell the truth. And Adele very uncharacteristically says fuck off several times in a way that she would have never.
Fuck off! Fuck off! Fuck!
You would have never caught her dead saying fuck off like that. Back in the past, we find out that when David left for the day before he came back and Adele was crying because Rob was dead, Adele found Rob having a bath after shooting up heroin. And he was high and he told her he wanted to try something with her that he had read online. Present time, and Adele is writing a suicide note. She is admitting to her guilt and admitting to her inability to face the consequences. She says, I can admit what I did, but I can't face the consequences for what I did. So she is taking her own life, but taking full blame, full responsibility for Rob's, And then she messages Louise with a very end of life type of situation. I need to end things. He's going to understand. And Louise, I really want to slap her right now, but I can't because she's in a show. Remember what that man told you earlier? Leave it alone. Stay out of it. Well, she doesn't stay out of it. She panics. I can't let Adele die because I care for some reason. So she goes to Adele's place. Adele has been prepping a big fat dose of heroin, to shoot up down through her toes. Shoot through her toes? Louise gets there. The house is locked and on fire. She can't get in, but she needs to check up on Adele. So what does Louise do with her newfound control of her powers and being able to astral project herself? What does she do? She astral projects into the house to make sure that Adele is okay. But you know what Adele is doing? Adele astral projected herself and is now hiding in the corner of the room. Oh yeah. So while Louise is checking up on Adele's body, Adele is up there and she goes downstairs. Sorry, we're getting to the climax. So Adele's flying orb just rushes down and enters Louise's body. You didn't know they could do that? Oh, well, now you know. Yeah, when a body is empty and the orb just floated out of your body, someone else can just come in and take you for a ride. So Adele goes into Louise's body, who's just outside chilling now. She's like, oh, this is nice. She even has a creepy smile about her. And for some fucking reason, the orb belonging to Louise goes into Adele. Why the fuck would you do that, you dumbass? But she goes into Adele, and then she can't move because Adele just shot herself up with a bunch of heroin. So Louise, now possessed with Adele, finds her way into the house because obviously she did that on purpose, and finds Adele, who can't move. Louise, now possessing Adele, is like, what the fuck, Adele? Why can't I move? And she's like, well, that's the smack. You just can't take him away from me. I'm sorry. But did you really think that I was going to let you swoop in and take my husband? No. Then she climbs on top of her. So Adele possessing Louise crawls on top of Louise, possessing Adele, and then shoots her up with a lethal dose of heroin, and then carries her body outside and prepares the waterworks as the police arrive. It's not even the body swap. It's like Adele, that's very inappropriate. Louise is dead in Adele's body. Adele is alive in Louise's body. David is cleared of all charges, and he resumes his relationship now with Louise. And Louise picks up her son from her ex's house, and it's very clear, like, neither of them recognize her truly. She's acting like Adele used to. Yes. And then we get the flashback of what actually happened to Rob. The thing Rob wanted to try when he was in the bath was swapping bodies, because he read online that that's possible. If both people exit their bodies and then enter the other, you've officially swapped bodies. Adele goes along with it, and they do this outside in the woods for some goddamn reason. So they swap bodies. Rob gets inside Adele's body. He's like, oh my God, this feels great. What years and years of non-drug use will do to your body? Great things. And Adele instantly hates how it feels inside Rob's body because, you know, Rob is kind of high on heroin. So she begs him straight away, like, no, let's swap back. I don't like this. It doesn't feel good. And Rob says, I'm sorry, but I kind of like it now. Yeah. So Rob, possessing Adele, climbs on top of Adele, possessing Rob, and shoots him/her with a lethal dose of heroin. He/her then drags her/him and dumps her/him down the well and the watch as well. So the big twist is that Adele has been Rob this entire time! And it's actually kind of given away in episode 2 or 3 when Adele gives Louise her diary and says, this is my diary, but it actually belongs to Rob because, yeah, Adele is Rob. And then the ending reminded me a lot of Us. You know, Us, when the son realizes that his mom is not who she says she is. Well, Louise, David, and Adam are in the car and they're deciding where they're going to spend their honeymoon. And the son realizes that's not his mom. That is not his mom. But how the hell are you going to convince anyone that someone else possessed your mom's body and that's it, you know? So just to recap, Rob, the gay man, stole this white woman's body and then stole that black woman's body. Rob. This is so many levels of what the fuck do you mean? And he does all of that because he loves David and their life so much. It cannot possibly be worth it. Not all men, but somehow always a fucking man. I love a show that only women do bad things and it's still a man. It's still a fucking man doing them. Ah! So yeah, Rob stole Adele's life and now he's stolen Louise's life. And he doesn't realize that the problem is him. Because David was with him technically when he was in Adele's body for 10 years and he fell out of love. So the same thing's probably going to happen with Louise. Yeah. One thing I don't understand is, how does this like whole body swapping work? Aren't your memories stored in your brain matter, like in your actual brain? When you astral project, do you carry all of those memories with you and all of the things that you've learned? Like in essence, do you carry the knowledge inside of your brain? Isn't that connected to the physical flesh of your brain? Wouldn't you then just like inherit that person's memories and teachings and learnings and all of that? How does that work? Huh? But also, Rob may have found a way to live forever. You know, if he can do this con several times, if he can fool a bunch more people to learn how to astral project and then steal their lives, then he can virtually live forever as long as he continues finding a new victim. So that's how we went from an upbeat, feel-good rom-com drama to swapping bodies and stealing lives with astral projection. What the fuck, guys? Wrong turn. Don't think too much about it. Don't think too much about the plot holes and the inconsistencies. And it's honestly a really fun time. And that is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you like this video, make sure to leave it a like down below. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And click that bell notification so you never miss a future upload from me. It helps you be entertained and it helps me in the channel. Please, por favor. Eu nunca te pedi nada. Eu nunca peço nada a ninguém. Eu apareço aqui todas as semanas com um sorriso na cara, uma boa disposição para entreter a malta. A única coisa que eu quero em retorno é que subscrevam, que façam barulho nos comentários, que deem atenção, que falem, que interajam, que partilhem, deem voz Aqueles que querem usar a voz. Also, follow me on my socials. They're all linked down below. And until next time, stay safe, stay sane, stay stupid, and stay stuttering. Bye, guys. And don't sleep with your bosses. It's like the first thing you don't do at work is sleep with your boss. Don't sleep with your boss.